Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Lukash, and I'll be your host today. Today's topic is going to be Packing the Future, How Automation Powers Corrugated Success. At Acme Corrugated Box, we've always believed automation is crucial. It's a core driver of consistency, speed, and smart decision-making across our entire operation. Today, we'll be joined by Jeff Bittner, our resident expert on all things automation. He's going to walk us through the state of the industry, how we've implemented automation here at Acme, and the outcomes we've seen as a result. So at this time, we'd ask you to think about your questions as Jeff goes through the presentation. Enjoy that time together. As time permits, you can drop those in the chat as we go. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Bittner. Jeff, take it away.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks to everyone attending today's webinar. We hope you find today's event and subject matter as interesting as we do. Over the past few years, the increase in use of automation by manufacturing companies has been remarkable. This applies both to Acme and to many of our customers who use our boxes. Given that, I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with a good variety of our customers and see their processes firsthand, working with them to optimize both their processes and how our packaging materials run through those processes. So with that, I'm going to move on to presentation and show you much of what this is all about. One second. There we go. Very good. So our webinar today is Packaging the Future, how automation powers corrugated success. With that, we'll move into some of the information. Why has automation become so prevalent? Various factors have contributed to that, including increasing labor costs and the difficulty that so many companies have in securing enough production employees to run their operation. There's also a demand for higher quality and consistency of outputs. What does the product look like when it leaves the manufacturing company on its way to the next users? Also, lower production waste and related costs can be impacted by use of automation by having the cycle be the same time and time again. And on top of all of that, and critically important, is safety considerations for the organization and the employees that run the production equipment and handle the product. I'm going to begin with an overview of what we've done here at Acme Corrugated over the years I've been with the company. Most of this has really happened within the last 5 to 10 years, and the last 5 years have been particularly active with a lot of activity. So the things that we've really focused on here to support the operation have been things like material processing, material movement through the facility, how we handle work in process and move it around and store it while it's waiting for next steps in process, and then what we do with finished goods as we prep them to go out the door. So I'm going to show you some videos that I took from around the facility and then some from our customers to illustrate better what these processes are all about. So this video shows roll stock movement. These are rolls of paper that we routinely use and move from our warehouse into points of use. A roll like this typically weighs between 6,000 and 8,000 pounds. In the past, a large clamp truck, pretty much like an oversized forklift, would bring rolls to the work areas, competing with space for production employees and other materials in the area. This traffic has been fully eliminated by automating this, where a trolley brings the rolls to the point of use. Employees in the work area are controlling movement of the rolls, so safety has been improved significantly as well. When those sheets are manufactured, they have to be moved from the corrugator area that makes the fluted sheets into areas where they can be converted into boxes. In the past, stacks of sheets were placed all over the building where floor space was available, but in 2021 into 22, we installed this high rack storage system where robotic cranes move product in and out of storage area, waiting for next production steps and securing the product in a safe location rather than having forklifts move around and around. So this multi-tier rack storage system and a series of conveyors allows us to safely and efficiently move these sheets around. The video shows stacks of sheets being taken in and out of this storage rack until they are ready for production. The next step in here, the crane is moving product in and out, safely handling this. There are no forklifts picking up stacks of sheets. Plus, you can see by the arrangement of sheets on these conveyors, it would take multiple forklift trips to move this product around. The scheduling team and supervisors can override what is automatically happening if there is a need to change production sequence due to business needs. Once those sheets are removed from the storage rack, a series of trolleys will take them to the appropriate converting line. The trolley will orient itself to the in-feed conveyor at the production line, and the sheets are transferred into the production area. Once again, completely without forklifts driving back and forth in a traffic lane, competing with space for employees moving around. Certainly, there are safety considerations with all of this automated equipment moving around, and people are trained to respond to that accordingly. Once those sheets are staged to go into the production line, in this case, a flexo folder gluer, those sheets, the stacks are knocked down into shingle form and sent directly into the infeed of the machine. This used to be one or two people manually lifting those stacks, heavy as they might be, into the infeed hopper hour after hour after hour. Imagine doing this repeatedly throughout a full production day. Once boxes have been made, they must be bundled in uniform quantities and stacked to be prepared for shipping. In the past, employees were staged at this area to lift boxes bundle by bundle and build a finished unit based on the stacking plan. The automated stacker creates a layer of boxes at a time all together and then builds a full unit to the defined height. Once the system has been taught the layout, it can be recalled if this same box is run again and the system already has the configuration program. So it basically learns each time the job is run. So that's what we've been able to accomplish at Acme in recent years. It's certainly quite impressive, and every time I witness what's going on down there, it continues to impress me. Now I'm going to turn attention to what our customers are doing with their automation. And really the impacts that it's had on what we do here at Acme. Key things, boxes certainly must meet higher quality standards. In some cases, depending on the nature of the automated equipment, we will have to actually redesign the box so that it works mechanically well in those processes. So the more we know about that, the better we can be prepared for what the customer's needs may be. And it's not a one size fits all or one style fits all. Different types of automation can have very different requirements. And in the videos that I'm about to show you, you'll be able to see the variety, both in terms of mechanical layout and sophistication of system, that can make a huge difference in what the boxes are going to be like. So the types of equipment that are being used, I've pretty much broken that down to clearly show by 4 different types of machines. So a basic case erector to an enhanced case erector, a tray machine, and an integrated packing line. So I'm going to show examples of each of these so that there's a better understanding of what this type of equipment is all about. So we'll begin with a basic case erector. The responsibility of this machine is to pull a flat box from a hopper, open it up, configure it, and then send it across, in this case, a tape head to seal the bottom of the box. Some of these machines can use a hot glue instead of tape. but each method is typically effective depending on the end use for the box. So here we're moving on to an enhanced case erector. In the first video, we see just a different style of doing about the same thing as the previous video showed. Box is pulled from a hopper, it's opened up, the bottom flaps are folded, and it's sent across a sealing line. In this case, the bottom of the box is hot glued together. However, in the next step, just a few feet down the line, a plastic bag is automatically inserted into the box. So the bag is dispensed, it's blown open with air, and then it's sent forward. In this case, the box is ready to be packed with meat products, slices of meat that are going to be used for steak sandwiches. A tray machine is a bit different. I mean, what we saw in the previous two examples were conventional flat boxes with flaps on the top and the bottom. In this case, is a tray machine. The box is a unique style for a particular purpose. So this tray machine will build the box from a flat sheet. The customer who uses this actually had this machine specifically engineered to build this box in the way that it configures. And since the box is not already preformed, all of the areas that have to be held in shape are hot glued, and they have a ready-to-go box. And from here, the box is shuttled down a conveyor into their production area where it's filled with the material that they're making. Where we get into the most sophistication is an integrated packing line. And what that's all about is it will typically be an array of processes in sequence from start to finish that is uninterrupted. And it will accomplish preparing the product to be packaged all the way through palletizing finished packed shipping cartons. So here we're seeing phase one of this process. These white bricks are wrapped kits that the customer makes. The inner box is bagged, and then a dozen of these bricks are inserted into the bag. From there, it moves forward into the next step where these boxes, an insert is placed on top, and then the bags are semi-closed as they're moved forward to the next step, where a pair of the boxes are gathered together, they're gripped, lifted, and inserted into the shipping cart. What becomes particularly important here, especially since Acme makes all of the corrugated parts, they have to fit together seamlessly, because if something is out of square or too big, the parts are not going to all fit together. So we had to spend a bit of time making sure that everything was designed and engineered correctly to have this line work properly. We certainly never want the boxes involved to be a reason why the line completely goes down. If any part of the line shuts down, it typically will suspend the entire process, regardless of which element it is. So with that, we've had the overview of all the types of automation, both at Acme and with customers that I've visited. So what is going to happen in the future? Certainly the past few years have been very active with how this has grown, developed, and certainly broadened in types of application. It will certainly continue, probably at an even greater pace going into the future. Most of what I've shown you today has occurred in the last few years as companies continue to struggle with hiring enough employees or the right type of people to work in production. Automation can be an effective way to offset those challenges. Certainly safety considerations are a big part, and automation can be a tremendous asset in simplifying that as well. It's hard to have a day go by where artificial intelligence does not come up in some form or another. That will certainly have a notable and positive impact on what's happening with automation, as AI can be used to help design systems, to lay out production paths and such, to optimize what we really want to happen with an automated process. But all of this really demands consistency of inputs, whether it's boxes or other parts going into a line. because automation prefers that things be the same day after day, time and time again, so that any outliers from that normalcy can be eliminated. It's typically exceptions to what's going on that will have the greatest impact on compromising a line. So that pretty much brings us to the end of the examples I've been able to prepare for this presentation. But before we move on to questions, we're able to preview the hot topic for many companies and what we're going to have for our first webinar in 2026. Sustainability, just like AI, it's hard to have a day go by where some element of sustainability doesn't come up in conversation. In fact, here at Acme, there has been no greater subject for inquiries from our customers than sustainability, and there's no close second. So next year, we'll be able to share what Acme has done to date with sustainability matters and where we expect to head in the future. So something for everybody to look forward to in the new year where that subject is appealing. But now we'll move on to questions on today's subject matter, and back to Jeff Lukash to read some of the questions that we'll answer.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. What an enlightening presentation. And, we'd just like to thank everybody, in advance before we get to questions for joining. We had a great turnout today. We're very excited. We really hope that this gave you a helpful look at how automation is not just about efficiency, but it's truly a key driver in the reliability of packaging today. So if you've got questions, now's a great time to ask them. We're going to go to the chat and see what we've got. We've already got questions firing in here. So I'm going to just start up top. Jeff, our first question comes from Taylor. What does equipment like this cost?
Well, that's a good question, and it can vary tremendously. For somebody who wants to assist in their box assembly process with a basic case erector, the used models can be out there, and the simplest of them may be a few $1,000s to 10 to 20,000. Again, depending on condition and sophistication. If somebody is looking at a fully integrated line where a lot of different things are going on, that's likely to get into the hundreds of thousands very quickly. When you're looking at processes like a high rack storage system and a conveyor system, the price just goes up considerably from there.
Great answer. Thank you. We have another question already in from Helene. How long did it take Acme to implement all their automation currently in use?
Well, it certainly happened in stages. When I began with the company in 2011, we didn't have any robots at all. The first robotic stacker came about in 2013, and then a couple more stackers and infeeds followed pretty quickly. The most notable changes began at the end of 2020 when we began our building expansion, and part of that plan was to include a lot of this automation. With the new corrugator and the output that could provide, we needed a better method for handling all of the sheets that were coming out. That led to the high rack being as part of the process, because we just didn't have the floor space to store all those sheets. So instead we went vertically. The conveyor system to move product around the plant was all tied to that as well. So most of that happened inside of 2 years, which was pretty aggressive.
Yeah, that's great. And hopefully that's insightful for you, Helene. We have another question came in from Donna. How has automation increased safety at Acme?
So, well, it's certainly a different world. There are safety considerations that have to be considered with automation itself, especially with so many pieces of equipment that move on their own. All of them are equipped with safety devices like an emergency stop if somebody walks into their path unaware. But taking forklifts out of the mix, moving product around with people driving the forklifts, competing with space with both each other and production employees and stacks of sheets. It's a much cleaner flow now, and certainly much more predictable for what's going on, because the automation follows specifically configured paths.
Great, great. Well, thank you very much. Let's see, we have another question came in from Rich. What impact, if any, does automation have on your product or the quality of your product?
Well, certainly using automation, like the example I provided during the slides, the fact that automation likes inputs to be the same is true for outputs. So the more some of the the finished stackers at the end. So folded boxes coming off the line, they're going through at lightning speed. The stackers and squaring units make sure the boxes are glued in square. But when they go to the stacker, they are bundled so precisely and stacked so precisely. You see beautiful cubes of product coming off. So the impression certainly that we see as they're going down the conveyor to shipping, and what our customers receive when they unload the trucks, they're going to see a professionally stacked and bundled unit of material that should make a positive impression from the start.
That's great. Great answer. Thanks for that level of detail. So we've had 4 great questions to this point. I don't see any additional questions in the queue. So with that, unless something else pops up, I just want to take a moment to thank everybody again for attending today. If you do have additional questions that we didn't get to, please shoot them over. We can get back to you via email. We can answer any questions that you might have beyond this at any time. So please don't hesitate to shoot us a separate message. With that said, we'd like to thank everybody for spending time with us again. We hope you're able to attend our next webinar on sustainability in Q1, and we appreciate your time today. So with that said, we wish everyone a wonderful afternoon and a happy holiday season. Thank you, and make it a great day.